What is up, guys? Mr. Jerry Green here today. Some people call me Uncle Jerry. So whatever you want to call me, just don't call me a bad word, okay? I still love you though. All right, so today I want to talk to you about valuing your time. You say, oh God, here goes another time video and another, time management thing. No, I'm just going to share with you some facts. Whether you run with them or not is up to you. Let me tell you where this really hit me hard. So back in the early 2000s, I was very blessed, I look at, to be able to work with Brian Tracy. And I was involved with him in a program for a year. And I had a really, cool relationship, to be able to work with Brian on a very close, this very close relationship. And what happened on this, guys, was, I went through, there was a lot of stuff he shared, tremendous amount of knowledge. I mean, the man's brilliant on things. But one of the things I really got from this that still sticks with me today, and I try to share it with a lot of people. I share it with my students I work with in my different programs, in my events, my coaching, and it's always been a big game changer. And it was interesting, even last night, I was, actually had a meeting with my sons, two of my sons that is, and I was sharing them with this exact same strategy. It does have a major impact. And what I started really talking about was this, let's just look at, the best way to describe this is really probably kind of give an example. So here's a perfect example on things. Let's just say that you are a salesperson. And I'm going to take you back here and just write on the board a little bit. So this board, oh, by the way, is one of these vibe boards. This thing's pretty damn cool. And it's a lot more fun than a flip chart. Anyways, what I want to share with you guys, let's just say you're a salesperson. And your goal as a salesperson is to be in a position where you want to make, let's say, $100,000 in 1 year, okay? So it's a 1 year goal that you want to make 100 grand in personal revenue. All right, so let's think about that. Now, most salespeople out there would never evaluate their time. What they do is they say, okay, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna start doing all these things that I gotta put sales together and get all this stuff done to facilitate these sales. So think about this, all right? So what happens is they go out and they start selling. They put sales together. Now they write up contracts. And then they start processing the contracts. They're doing all the data entry work. They're doing, in our case in real estate space, they could be doing transaction coordinating. They could be doing all these different components, okay? And they start doing all this stuff. And then what happens is let's say they're 6 months into their year. And they're 6 months into their year and they've only made, let's say, at that point, after 6 months into the year, they've only made, for some reason, $30,000. And they start scratching their head. Why is it that I'm not making more money on this? Why am I struggling to hit my goal here of $100,000? I'm doing sales, but are you really spending your time on sales? Well, here's what I want you to do. The best thing you can start doing, guys, is start evaluating the value of your time. And this is a powerful thing when you really start to get it. So let's just say this person's looking at things. What they start noticing though is they're turning around and doing all this data entry. So they're putting data into maybe their system, their CRM. They're turning around and doing a lot of like transaction coordinating, what we call TC type work. They're turning around and doing a lot of calls to like the clients in regards to this overall little things that need to be done, which could be done through transaction coordinating. But they start doing all these things. And maybe they're in a position too where they're also involved with some of the marketing component of things. Well, if you're a salesperson, you have to understand if you have a goal of $100,000 and you only have so much time that you can invest into working, and you have family time and everything else, then you need to understand the value of your time. If you would look at it and say, what is your hourly rate? And a lot of people, what's funny is entrepreneurs, they don't want to look at that. They don't want to see what their hourly rate is. I get it. We love what we do. We're busy. We got a lot of cool things happening and stuff. But it doesn't really matter on things. But as a salesperson, as I was mentioned to you, this kind of an example like Brian Tracy showed me years ago. We said this salesperson that wants to make this, they have to understand their value of their time. So if you look at this, and let's just say that average, let's just say a person on an average here works, pretty well 2,000, and a full year, if you look at it, is 2,080 hours in a year. Well, let's just say they take off 2 weeks, okay, holidays and stuff like that, vacation time, whatever, on things. So now, I'm not trying to say that you shouldn't work more hours and work less hours. I'm just using this as an example. So it's 2,000 hours here, okay, for the year. If you look at that 2,000 hours, guys, and you take that into the $100,000, how much is that per hour? Well, it comes down to $50 per hour, guys. Now here's the interesting thing. If you're doing this, okay, now this, I'm not talking about sales calls, I'm talking about just general calls. And this right here, and if you're doing all this stuff, guys, and it doesn't pay $50 an hour, you can't achieve that goal of $100,000. And this is something that I get so many people struggle with. And I remember when Brian talking about that, and he says, as a salesperson, you have to be in the position where you're doing these things that are going to push you to make that $100,000. It has to be at $50 an hour or more. And then what happens if you want to work less hours? Think about that. The more you reduce the amount of hours you want to work, the greater your hourly rate. Okay? That's something that's very, very important, guys, that I want you to think about here. And this is where a lot of people really struggle on things. It's interesting on that. And this is really it's a foundational thing I just want you to get, okay? And once you get this and really start to understand it, you'll start looking at things a lot differently, okay? And I got this years ago, and I still use it so much here today because there's a lot of things that come up to me all the time. And I have to turn around and push that away. Because the thing is, if I do it, then I can't bring in the revenue that's required for my business, required for my family, required to take care of my team, to take care of this office here. I can't do it. But when I turn around and make these exceptions and say I'm going to do something that's a $10 an hour rate thing, how can I achieve my numbers? How can I hit my goals? I can't. And the salesperson especially, this is where salespeople really struggle, is when they are not using their time correctly and they don't understand what their hourly burn rate is. Understand what your hourly burn rate is, guys. Understand your value on that. It will change from time to time, but once you understand that as a game changer, and then you start evaluating things. And you look at, am I going to do this? Nope, I can get somebody else to do it for a fraction of the cost. It takes some practice and it takes discipline, but once you start doing it, it'll change your game here and start seeing your revenue go up and up. Guys, I hope this tip helps you out on things. Do me a favor, comment down below here if you would. If you like it, that's great. If you don't like it, just say you liked it anyways. How's that? So do me a favor though too. Subscribe to the channel down below and I'll catch you in the next video, guys. Thank you.